That was the warning. We've officially started. Now it's time to put all of our naughty paraphernalia things away and put on our smiley faces and just use appropriate language for people that might be watching and everything else. So, hey, if you're joining us tonight, thank you so much. Welcome to Parents Helping Parents Live. My name is Derek. I get the privilege of hosting this show, and it's always exciting to be back and be doing these things. I missed the broadcast a couple weeks ago because of a family emergency. So if you tuned in or tried to tune in for that, my apologies, but everything is good to go and back on track. So we're glad to be back for our round here in March. If you're catching this video because somebody shared it on their Facebook feed or because you caught it on YouTube and you're not familiar with Parents Helping Parents, we're a Oklahoma-based nonprofit organization founded by parents, primarily run by parents, with the goals of connecting parents with resources, providing some education, and sharing our experiences about having children with substance use disorders. So if you're a parent and you find yourself having a child any age from 15 to 85, if you've got an 85-year-old, you're doing pretty well to still be making it. That's not the point. The point is, if you're a parent, no matter what age your child might be and they're struggling with a substance use disorder, you found yourself in the right spot. We want to do what we can to share our stories, to provide some education, and hopefully to connect you with some resources to make your life easier, make your life better, help you feel heard, and help support you in ways that are meaningful. We have parents who participate in Parents Helping Parents who have children who have found recovery. We have lots of parents whose children, unfortunately, are still cycling through active addiction. We have parents who are a part of our organization who have had children that have paid the ultimate price for their addiction and lost their life to drug overdose or suicide or various other things. And I say that just to say that wherever you're at in that process, wherever you might be at with what's going on with you or with your family, we've got people that can offer support. We've got people that can relate, and we've got people who along the way maybe have learned some things, have uncovered some things that we hope by them sharing their stories that can be meaningful for you and can help either offer you some comfort or help begin the skills building process to help you change. So that's Parents Helping Parents in a nutshell. If you want to know more about our organization, you can connect with us in a couple of different ways. You can find us on Facebook at Parents Helping Parents Inc., at Parents Helping Parents Inc., Parents Helping Parents Inc., or you can check us out on the World Wide Web. That's parentshelpingparents.info. That's where you can find all the information about different support groups or different online meetings that might be happening in your area, upcoming events, upcoming fundraisers, all of those type things. If you're interested, maybe you hear something from this video that you like and you want to check out videos from a year ago, from 2 years ago. I think we've been doing this almost 4 years now. You can check all those videos out on our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search Parents Helping Parents. It'll come right up. There's lots of valuable information there for you as well. If you're watching on Facebook, do me a favor, reach over, click the share button, throw this video up on your news feed. That exponentially increases the amount of people that we can reach with a message of hope. There are lots of people that see your news feed who potentially have drug or alcohol problems or have family members who are having drug or alcohol problems. So I think people don't understand that sharing this video to your feed literally could save somebody's life. It could be the thing that finally provides some hope or finally provides a way for somebody to reach out and get some help. So be sure you share, be sure you like. If you're watching this on YouTube, go like us on Facebook and share some content there. That would be great. So we like to make these as interactive as possible, which sometimes is a challenging. We're actually pre-recording this the day before and we're doing a live watch party. And so I will be available during the watch party to maybe field questions and comments that you might post up to the video. We'll make sure we get those answered, but we also still want to offer the text line. If you've got questions, if you've got comments about stuff you're hearing tonight, you can reach out and text us anonymously to get more information or to ask questions. And maybe you don't want to attach your name to a comment in Facebook. I understand that stuff's on the internet forever. Maybe you want to protect a little bit your anonymity a little bit. You can text us to the text line that's in the title of this video, 413-384-9244. It's anonymous. You don't have to put your name on there. That actually goes straight to a Google voice text line, goes to my phone. I answer the questions. I delete all the information. after it comes through. So none of that's saved, but you can still maybe ask questions about some of the things you're hearing. I think that might be all I've got. I'm excited. It's March. This year seems like it is flying by. Thank God. If you've had a spring anything like mine or some of the people I know, you're ready for some change already and for some summertime air. So I'm really excited to have a friend of mine, Cathy, here, who is someone who actually has some experience dealing with family change, dealing with family problems. And Cathy is here to share some of her story and to answer some of my questions that hopefully may be helpful for you. So Cathy, welcome. Thank you for being here. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about kind of who you are and what's been going on, and maybe a little bit about your story.
Thank you, Derek. Before we get going, please feel free, should anybody want to talk to me after watching this, you're welcome to give them my number if they'd like to reach out, in case I forget to say that when we're done. Okay, so Lord, where do I start? Let me actually preface this with I am a big crybaby, so buckle up because it's probably going to happen.
Me too.
Okay, good.
We're going to share cries on the internet together, Cathy.
Good. There's literally tissues across the room for me, and I'm like, I should have grabbed those, but we'll see. Anyway, so let me see. God, normally when we tell our stories in my program, we start from childhood. So I had a rather normal in my brain childhood. I have a sister. She's about a year and a half younger than I am. And yeah, again, fairly normal childhood until she hit 16. She got wheels and some freedom and went sideways on us. And that's when drugs and alcohol entered our lives. It I'm not going to say it wasn't a problem so much, but it didn't really escalate to affecting us so much. I don't think we became as aware of it till a couple years into her use. Suddenly we were bailing her out of jail, paying for attorneys. When I say we, my mother, bless her. I was still in high school myself, so I'm, wasn't paying for anything. But my poor mother was, bailing her out of jail, paying for attorneys, trying to keep this secret from families, our family, the church, work. Because unfortunately, as much as it was then, I think it is now, there's such a stigma behind this illness, and it causes us to keep this secret in our lives, which I think compounds the stress and frustration that we all go through dealing with it. Fast forward to her turning 18, she ends up getting pregnant, has a baby her senior year in high school. And I can have to tell you, when that little boy was born, I suddenly knew the reason I was put on this earth. Hello, codependency. So I'm going to bounce around a bit. I'm really bad at this, but I can tell you, I've heard speakers, especially on our side of the family side of this stuff, talk about the first time I met him, or the first him or the first her in my life. And that baby was my first him. It was the first person that I was like, okay, this is my world. This is the person I need to focus on and take care of and make sure they're all right. And, here we go. My poor mom, when she found out my sister was pregnant, did not handle it well. It was more, we cannot let the church know about this. She's in high school. She's barely 18 years old. She's not married. This is not how things are done. My brain went, yay, we're getting a new toy. So me. So I think my complete opposite reaction kind of helped offset her holy God of it. And eventually, within a few months, she was able to, I don't want to say come out of that, but at least it got easier for her. And eventually that baby was born, and he's the best thing that's ever happened to us. So unfortunately, this did not curb her foray into drugs and alcohol. If anything, he became a way for her to, gosh, almost hide some of the things she was doing in order to support her drinking and drugs. A lot of stealing started happening, which is not uncommon. So strollers and diaper bags are a great way to hide things when you're shoplifting. Unfortunately, stores and security guards are not stupid and pick up on these things. So there were instances of us having to go rescue this baby from police officers before he was taken to, I don't know where they take babies, child services, something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and again, do we go bail her out of jail? We had an incident when he was a couple years old where, well, no, he was probably 3 or 4. She'd gotten beat up by somebody and we had to go get her from the hospital. And I've got this little boy who all he cares about is going home and playing with his toys. He's could not care less at that point that mom's in the hospital. He just didn't want to be there. So there was a whole lot of incidents like this. There was even a point where I can't remember how I found out about this. There was so much stuff over several years that it's hard to kind of keep a timeline. But there was a point where I found out my license was suspended because my sister had so many warrants out for arrest that every time she got pulled over, she was pretending to be me.
Oh,
She'd gone,
wow.
oh yeah, she'd gone and gotten a driver's license in my name with her picture, my name, all of my ID stuff, and was pretending to be me. So I got to spend quite a while going around and fixing all that in several different counties. So we eventually got that straightened out. But yeah, there was several years of just so much money going out, a lot of anger, resentment, fear, so so much stuff. Eventually, my mother and I came to the decision that that baby, little boy, he was 2, 3 years old, just wasn't safe with her around anymore, and we ended up going to the courts and getting emergency guardianship of him, and then eventually permanent custody of him. And so he's been with her and I ever since. He's 27 now. He's not a baby anymore, but he's still my baby. But
Always will be.
he always will be. Bless him. He puts up with my nonsense. I'm lucky actually. He and I get to work together now, which is so weird and so cool all at the same time. But I get lectures quite often about I'm not allowed to tell childhood stories, even though they still slip out on occasion. But yeah, he doesn't find it funny. But yeah, so he does have a relationship with his mom. It's luckily he's recognizes her for who she is and what she is, and he's much better at it than I am with dealing with her and her issues. But yeah, so she ended up moving and doing her thing. Well, not moving, but out of the house and doing her thing. And like I said, mom and I raised him. So I'm going to back up a little. Growing up, we didn't really have much family around, but we'd have family that would come in and visit off and on every couple of years. And one of those being my favorite cousin. He's 7 years younger than me. He and his brother and his parents would moved a lot. His dad worked in pharmaceuticals, so they would bounce around and move a lot around the country. But anytime they would come to visit, it was, yay, that's my person coming. His older brother and my younger sister would always pair up when they would come into town, and he and I would always pair up somehow. And just it was, the highlight when they would come to visit. The last time I'd seen him, we had gone, this is so redneck. After my grandfather had passed, we went to, my grandmother decided she didn't want to have Christmas at home. So she decided we were all going to Vegas for Christmas, and I joked that it was like the Clampets invaded because they were just weird. Anyway, we all invaded Las Vegas for Christmas one year, so that's the last time I'd seen him actually. Kiddo was a 2 or 3, I think. Actually, it was all kind of happened around that same time. And so that was the last time I'd seen him. After that, they just really didn't come visit much. And when he turned 17, he ended up joining the military, and spent 16 years between the Army and the Navy, before he finally retired in 2016. Once in a while, every several years, we'd kind of connect on Facebook, for very short periods of time, and then he'd often disappear on me again. I don't know if he was picking up contracts and go overseas again, or whatnot, because he was always so busy and crazy. But yeah, we literally have a very short period of time we'd have contact and he'd disappear again. So about 5 years ago or so, we reconnected again. I was very excited. We talked for a very short period of time, then he disappeared on me again. And then he popped back up. And so there were several months we were kind of talking on Messenger for a while. And I can never explain this very well because I always sound like I'm nuts, but I'm just one of these people that I get feelings sometimes, and I just kind of know stuff. I can't explain it to you, but I just know things sometimes.
Yeah, just some type of
And
intuition about what's happening.
yes, and it's always people that are close to me, my people. So I could tell something was going on with him. Like he would randomly call me at 4 in the morning while he was like in his girlfriend's driveway smoking a cigarette, and thought this was a fantastic time to call me and have a conversation. Or he'd start text conversations with me, and we'd be in the middle of chatting about something, and he would disappear on me in the middle, like mid conversation. 3 or 4 hours later, he would reappear, and he's like, "Sorry, I was using the bathroom." And I'm like, "Nobody uses the bathroom for 4 hours, but okay, whatever." And this would happen off and on periodically. After a few months, I started harassing him, like, you realize it's been 20 plus years since I've seen you. Like, you need to come visit me, sir. And after a while of bugging him out of nowhere, he gets a wild hair up his butt one day, and he's like, "I'm coming to visit." And I'm like, "Cool, when?" "Tomorrow." And I'm like, "Whoa, okay, awesome." So 24 hours later, he jumps in his car and hits the road for what I thought was going to be a visit for the weekend. He drove about 20 hours, pulled into my driveway around 6 in the morning. It was still dark outside. There was like a light, misty rain falling, and he got out of his car and basically tackle hugged me in my driveway. And if you know this man, he hates being touched. He's not a hugger. He's not an affectionate person. It's so the fact that this happened is miraculous in itself. But I thought like he was never going to let go. And he finally did. We started to walk in the house, and he said, "Oh, wait." He turned around, went back to his car, and said, "I've been waiting 20 hours for this." Went back to his car, reached in, grabbed a bottle of Jameson, and walked back in the house. And I went, "Well, of course, your 20-hour drive, anybody would need a drink after that." Um, he, we stayed up several hours just catching up, um, filling each other in on our lives. Eventually, I think we both took a nap for a couple hours, but I noticed over the next several days, he never didn't have a cup in his hand. We had this little green plastic cup that kind of became his cup while he was here, that week. And that green cup was always in his hand or next to him, and he never didn't have it. I don't care if it was 7 a.m. or 11 p.m. or 2 in the morning, that cup was always in his hand. And my mother started commenting to me, "He seems to be drinking an awful lot." And said, "Well, Mom, he's on vacation. He's had a rough couple months. He's, people people drink when they're on vacation. He's decompressing. He needs to let off steam. It's not a big deal. After the third time she said this to me, I think I started kind of seeing what she was seeing. Although to this day, I've said this to him many times. I don't know if I didn't see it or didn't want to see it. But I think I started seeing what she was seeing. But he'd been here about 10 days, and we were sitting out on my back porch one night, smoking and drinking, which is pretty much how every night was. And he broke down and told me that he had a really serious drinking problem and needed to get help. So I, of course, because this is what I do. All right, what do we do? What do we need to do? How can I help? What do I need to do? So he said, you know, in the morning, I'm going to get on and make some calls and see what I can find out. And immediately when I was headed to bed, he jumped on a laptop and was going to start Googling things to see what he could figure out. Within a couple days, he had reached out to the facility that we actually both work at now, to the admissions guy there, and had gotten things arranged for him to go into detox that Monday morning. We got through the weekend. He ended up letting my mother know. Actually, we were sitting in the truck. His version of this story is so funny because it's ish what happened, but he likes to joke that we were defer to my memory on these things because I wasn't drinking. But we were actually sitting in the truck outside of church before we went in for mass, and he let my mom know what, you know, about our conversation and his decision. And she basically looked at him and said, I'm really glad you've come to this conclusion because you had a couple days left before I was going to say something. You were scaring me. She's like, I've already lost one man to this, referring to my dad. And she's like, I'm not going to lose another one. And I guess I skipped over the whole dad thing, didn't I? Anyway, we went into mass, and anyway, I'm not gonna worry about that part. So Monday morning, we got up, we're getting him ready to go, and bless his heart, I guess he had in his mind a plan for how that morning was gonna go. I'm sorry, I'm trying to hurry. I'm no going longer than I planned.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
We had a plan. He had a plan in his mind for how that morning was gonna go. He overslept, and he got really frustrated and melted down because there wasn't time to do all the things he wanted to do.
Like get loaded.
Not even that.
Oh.
He just had this plan that he was gonna like shave his head and finish some I don't know why he felt he had to do, finish this load of laundry and do this and do that. And I'm like, honey, I can handle the laundry. I will get it to you. Nobody cares what your head looks like. Like, let's just, man. Next thing I know, he's coming out of every hallway in my house with bottles. I had no clue how much, I have to tell you, no clue how much he'd been drinking. 7, 8, 9 bottles of Jameson were sitting on my kitchen counter at one point, and he was just empties, but the 2 or 3 he still had that weren't empty that he was dumping out in my kitchen sink. And my mother made a point of telling me, you need to get a tumbler. And she's like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but you need to, because it's a 2.5-hour drive to that detox. Get a tumbler and fill it with the Jameson, and he needs to sip on that all the way there because he's going to go into withdrawals if you don't. But this numbskull decided he needed to feel this and remember it. And he dumped every ounce of alcohol we had in this house down my sink. And this was about 10 o'clock that morning. Threw out the bottles, and we didn't get on the road till about 2:30 that day. And then we still had a 2.5-hour drive. So by the time we got to Wagner, he was in the fetal position in my truck, sweating and could barely move. We got there and he basically fell out of my truck into the parking lot. And the bag he brought with him was one of those big, like, you know, when you go cross country backpacking, like this backpack is basically as big as he is. And this thing was in the back of my truck, and I'm like, let me get your bag for you. And he's like, no, I got to do this myself. I got to feel it. I got to remember it, because he's always got to be the tough guy. And he almost fell over in the parking lot on me, but we got him in there, and got him through, basically, they got him checked in as minimally as possible and got him to a room, got him hooked up to comfort meds. And the lady came in and actually finished his intake in his room because he was in such bad condition.
Mm.
But, oh, the tears are coming. So I actually, once they got some meds on board with him, I actually saw him eat the first full plate of food I'd had seen him eat in a week and a half. It would take him 2 hours to eat one plate of food before this. He would munch a little bit and then put it down, and literally it would take him like an hour or two to eat one plate of food. And he sat there and ate an entire plate of chicken fingers and fries and a bowl of fruit, and I bawled my head off the entire time watching him eat. Sorry.
You're fine.
So anyway, it took everything in me to get up and leave him there, and trust him with strangers. Because in my mind, of course, he's my person. I gotta take care of him. And so I had to leave. I drive home 2.5 hours back to Norman. And I have to tell you, I scared the bejesus out of a few folks at some stoplights, because every time I stopped moving, I started bawling. And then would have to get myself under control so I could drive, so I didn't kill myself or anybody else driving home. Anyway, fast forward, he goes through treatment. Thank God. 90 days at the treatment center we both work at now. Ends up going into sober living. And ironically, the thing is, you would think my mind would be at ease. He's gone through treatment, he's in sober living, he's gone into a 12-step program, he's got, a sponsor, he's doing great. But no, my brain has just shifted gears, and it is now looking for new things to worry about. I'm looking for stuff to worry about. Is he paying his rent at his sober house? Is he going to his meetings? Did he order his meds?
Yeah, because he had started recovering, but you still hadn't.
Exactly. And even when he was in treatment, I'd gone in for a family therapy session. Walking out of that family therapy session, his counselor suggested, you might want to look into getting into some sort of program for families. And I have to tell you, I walked out that door and I drove home and I thought, lady, you don't know me. You don't know anything about me. You just spent an hour with me. There's nothing wrong with me.
Of
I'm not
course.
I'm not the one with a problem. And it was funny. It was a year and a half into his sobriety before I finally realized he is doing amazing. He's mentally, emotionally, spiritually, he is so healthy. He is getting better every day. And I am not. I am still miserable. I am still scared. I am still worried. I still look for reasons to worry about him. I still watch everything he does to make sure he's okay. He is always on my mind. I'm not on his. I guarantee you that. He's busy living his life. He's working his program. He's meeting new people. He's out helping people. I am constantly focused on, is he okay and what is he doing? Is he all right? He ended up working at our facility first, and I eventually came on board as well. And one of the other counselors who works there, you and I are having this conversation before we started kind of poking at me about my codependency. And eventually my brain kicked in. Well, maybe this numbskull might have a point. And I eventually found myself brave enough, let's just say, because the thought of it was terrifying, but brave enough to at least go check it out.
What was so scary, Cathy, about it for you?
Admitting that there might be something wrong with me. And the program I ended up choosing, I knew, because there's so many different ones for families, depending on what your loved one is going through, there are several different options. And I knew to some degree the one that I chose basically runs alongside your family members. So you kind of basically work the same program. And
so just before we go on, Cathy, I won't interrupt, but I want to
yeah.
clarify something for the people that may be listening who don't know what you and I know.
Mm-hmm.
You might think that Cathy's being slightly vague, but it's because many of these different support groups and different programs have kind of principles along the lines of anonymity and protecting the program and not the secrecy, but kind of the privacy of it all. And so there are lots of different types of support groups for family members, which is essentially what you're talking about. And depending on which one you plug into, they kind of are structured a little different, right?
Yes. Yes. And just so the anonymity is for those of us in the program, so that you never have to worry about someone's going to go on something like this and start talking about you or something you've said during it. So yeah, I knew that the program I was choosing runs basically like the one he was in, and the steps I would need to take in that program, the things I would need to do, the work I would need to do on myself was scary. But I also knew, watching the work he's done and what he's gotten from it, was exactly what I needed and exactly what I was wanting. So he actually was the person who gave me the phone number of the most amazing woman that I ended up calling. I ended up meeting her at a meeting. And that day, I have to tell you, when I went, it was just to rule it out. I did not need that as far as I was concerned. I even told my boss that day, I was like, I'm going to go check this out. And she's like, oh, thank God. And I was like, no, ma'am, don't make it a thing. I'm not planning on going back. It's like, I'm just going to go check it out so I can rule this out. It keeps popping up. It's been in my head.
I just want to be able to tell everybody else I went.
Yes.
Good.
And so I know I don't need it. And then it's done. Yeah. So I went in and I was in there for 15 minutes into this meeting and was like, crap, I belong here. Fine. So, and then I proceeded to bawl my head off for the next 45 minutes. And I don't remember anything anybody said after that first 15 minutes, because I'm not kidding. I bawled through the entire thing. But yeah, so I talked to her afterwards, and I mean, I committed to it that day. I was like, I'm one of these people, if I'm going to do something, we're going to do it. Let's go. So I talked to her and, yeah, committed that day. And it's got over a year and a half now at this point.
How was finding that support group? Like, what's been the most meaningful part of that experience, you think, for you over this last year and a half?
I think one of the biggest things is it's helped me to set boundaries that I didn't have in my life before. I've learned how to say no to people, which I was never good at. I didn't want you to be mad at me. I wanted you to like me. Yeah. I communicate better. I don't like the word fight because I'm not a fighter, but if we have people now, before I would have just avoided it and stuffed it down and been mad at you and just pretended like nothing was wrong, and resented you from afar. Um, and, and know that however it goes, it's going to be okay. Like, I am able, and it's a feelings and opinions, and oh, you're muted.
I'll rewind that. I guess I've tempered it, like I lost internet connection for like 3 seconds, maybe.
Oh no. Okay.
So we're back.
Okay. But yeah, so yeah, it's um it's helped me with like the biggest things I would say are codependency and boundaries and like communication. I can tell you my cousin and I talk a lot about just our relationship has gotten so much better and so much healthier. Um, we even joked the other night. We we have like two like rules with each other. I'm not going to go into them, but we were talking about them the other night, and I was like, we've never been very specific about this one. Maybe we should discuss it. And so we discussed it, and I was like, now let's jump over to the other one because I kind of want to like, can I add something? And he's like, I was like, maybe an amendment to it. And he's like, I feel like we're in Parliament, and I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe, but it's funny because like it's just we're communicating healthier and clearer, and nobody's hiding anything, nobody's getting butt hurt over stuff.
Yeah.
If one of us does get upset, we actually tell the other one, instead of worrying about hurting the other one's feelings. We're able to actually have these conversations in a healthy way, and you know shoot, just have adult conversations that we weren't having before,
Yeah.
which is silly, but
You you've
reality.
mentioned you've mentioned secrecy a couple of times and secret
Hmm.
keeping.
Yeah.
And you may or may not have an answer to this question. I just find it to be a really interesting, thought-provoking
Hmm.
question when you mentioned secrecy earlier.
Okay.
Do you find, at least in your story, it might be different for different people, that did the secrecy come before the shame or the shame before the secrecy? Does that question make sense?
It does. I don't know. I think maybe they kind of come hand in hand, maybe.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I probably hand in hand. It's because it's between the pregnancy and the drug use and the alcohol and lawyers and jail and all of the things, it's like you don't want people to know about it. It's um you're not going to go like outside and announce to the neighbors that you have to go bail your teenage daughter out of jail again. You
yeah,
don't want to have to announce to the neighbors or church. You're not going to go stand up in front of your whole congregation at church and let them know what's going on in your house. um you don't even want to tell the rest of your family, frankly. And I think that secrecy comes because of the shame. And honestly, yeah, I think they just kind of work hand in hand with each other, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. What for you, Cathy, when you think about family members participating in some type of support group?
Hmm.
Um, why do you think it's so important for families to do their own things to get healthy and not like separate from the person who's got the identified drug or alcohol problem?
Because you don't have the same issues. You don't have this. You do, but you don't. Um, you can't work each other's programs. You can't make each other's decisions. You can't be involved in each other's stuff. And that's one of the big things that my cousin and I um have been very careful with. Um he's better at it than I am because I will often be like, "Hey, you've been at this longer than me. What are your thoughts on this? What do you
Yeah,
think about this?" And he'll be like, "You need to go talk to your friend about that. That's why you have her." But it's um you can't, you have to stay out of each other's stuff. And as you each get healthier, and work on your own stuff, you are going to find that your relationship is going to get stronger and healthier.
yeah,
Um, but it is important to stay. Like I talked about how when he ended up in sober living, my brain, like I said, shifted, and I was looking for stuff to worry about. Is he paying his rent? Is he doing this? Is he doing that? Luckily for both of us, I kept all those questions to myself, and I didn't ask him these things. Um, Even with the program he was working and like his mentor that he had, I did not know this man. Therefore, I did not trust this man.
mm,
Therefore, did I think this was a good choice for him? I did not know. Did this part of us feel the need to check him out? Yes, this part of us did.
yeah,
Did this part of us do that? Yes, we did. Does he know that now? Yes, he does. He finds it funny. Thank God. That was not the right thing to do. But, and I tell people when I talk about this, do not do the stuff I did. I've learned the hard way. Thank God it didn't backfire on me. But you have to stay out of each other's programs. Actually, that's one of the rules we have. We do not, one of our 2 rules, we do not talk about each other's programs. We do not criticize each other's programs. We do not tell the other one that they need to go call their mentor, and we don't use it as a weapon against each other.
Yeah.
We each have our own stuff, and it needs to stay that way in order for it to stay healthy and for it to work for both of us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
I will.
Oh, go ahead.
Well,
No, go
I
ahead.
was gonna. I do think one of the best things I've done is a lot of the programs for folks in recovery. They have, well, both are recovery, but with the addiction, they will have, most of their meetings are closed, but they will have open meetings, whether they're speaker meetings or just their regular topic meetings, step meetings, whatever it is they do. When they have open meetings, some of the best things I've done is go to these meetings. I love speaker. God, I love speaker meetings. You can hear people's stories that have gone through what your loved ones have gone through.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
You can
good.
hear them talk about how they've burned their lives to the ground and how they turned it around. But the amazing thing is how much, every time I've heard one of these people tell their story, how much I've related to it. It is crazy how similar I am. I've found, and I don't know if this is everybody, but for me, I have found how similar I am to these people when I hear them tell their stories. The only difference is I don't have the addiction side to it, but all of those fears and insecurities and all of the things that they are drinking and using drugs to deal with, I just use codependency and all of my stuff,
Yeah.
to deal with. So it's funny how we're all so alike and just happen to use different vices to deal with it.
Yeah. What, Cathy, if you could, like, kind of looking back in hindsight over your story and over your experiences, both with well, you didn't talk much, but both with your dad, your sister, and your cousin, right? You didn't talk much about your father, kind of just dropped that little
Caved over
nugget in
that.
the story,
Sorry.
right? No, it's all right. When you think about your experience with all them, what are the things that you wish you would have known then, or you wish you would have been told sooner?
Um, I honestly don't know the answer to that because as much as I think is it's important, what we're doing now is telling families, it's important that you do work on yourself, that you need to take that time. And if your family goes to treatment, that's a perfect time for you to start it because you cannot do anything about them while they're there. They are safe. They are taken care of. They're working on themselves. It's a perfect time for you to go do this. As much as I think it's great that we're telling people you need to go do this, the problem there is that that old saying, drug addicts and alcoholics aren't gonna get help until they're sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
It works the same way with us.
Yeah.
It's I didn't do it until I was ready. So if anything, I just know that when you're ready to do the work, when you're ready to get help, that it's out there, it's available. And there's so many people that have gone through this and have experience and want to be there to help you, want to guide you through it. And we are available anytime,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, thank you so much. Just kind of one question I kind of ask everybody that's on, and you kind of have maybe already just answered it, but I like to wrap everything up with just kind of one question. If you knew that a family member was watching this, who had a loved one that was really struggling, or if you knew that somebody who was really struggling in their addiction was even watching this, and you had like 60 seconds to give them a message of hope, like what would your 60-second message of hope be for somebody watching tonight that's in a bad spot?
Wow. No pressure, Derek.
No pressure.
Okay. I think I don't know if I'm going to fill 60 seconds, but I think I would say that as much as you love them, and I know you do, because clearly everything you've been doing to try and manage things and take care of things and fix things and make them better, whether it's threatening or scaring or loving them with everything you have inside you, no matter what you do, you can't fix them, you can't cure them. You didn't cause this and you can't cure it, but you can contribute to it. So you need to do your best to take your hands off, and when they're ready, be there for them. Do whatever you can in that moment. When they're ready for help, be there to help them, but you need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of you, whatever that looks like. And again, there are resources available. You guys and the wonderful work you're doing. There are so many programs out there. And those of us who've been through it, I can tell you, when you walk into one of the rooms of the programs, like the one I'm in, you're walking into a room full of people who have been where you have been. They know exactly what you're going through. They know how you feel. Nobody's going to judge you. It's like you're walking into a room full of best friends, because they all get it, and they instantly love you and are going to welcome you. And it's, if when you're ready to do the work, it's going to be the best thing you've ever done for yourself.
Yeah. Good. Cathy, man, thank you so much just for your time and your vulnerability and sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. For people who are joining us and people who are watching, thanks for being here. We'll be back in another 2 Mondays with another live stream. So keep keeping on, and thanks for joining us. And again, Cathy, just thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I really do. You're a wonderful lady.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, thanks everybody. Cathy, thanks again. Everybody have a great night.
Bye.